Hello, good afternoon, so forth and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Welcome to, I don't know. Anyways, so I just finished my paper, which I already posted, on comparing and contrasting two religions. I picked Wicca and Voodoo. Now, that being said, let me explain to you that Voodoo is the hardest religion probably in the world to find information on. That religion is so secretly guarded that the info that I did find was based mainly from a biography on the Queen of Voodoo, a Miss Marie. I'm going to butcher her last name because I did it earlier. I think it's Laveau. Oh, sorry. Correct me. Karen, I know you're going to be watching this. Correct me. So anyway, so I found some very interesting information. I did not know that the Queen of Voodoo was raised Catholic. She actually practiced a lot of Catholicism. I was not under the impression that Voodoo believed in God. Voodoo priests and Voodoo followers believe in God. They just believe that there is a main God. I'm going to butcher his name too. It's spelled Bondye. Bodai, I think is how you pronounce that. I'm not sure. Very fascinating. They do quite a few very similar things as far as beliefs, practicing rituals, ceremony, magic. They also practicing hexing and blessings. They use deviation. Deviation, if you don't know what deviation is, that's to like scry for future. You can do it in different ways, either using a mirror with salts. You could use candles, dropping their wick in the wax into water and reading what the wax says. You can do it by throwing stones onto a mirror, as I said, or using salt on a mirror. Some people use tarot cards. Everybody's different. I'm not sure how Voodoo practices deviation. Unfortunately, there's no information as to how they do it. They just say that they do it. I also learned that there is no specific founder for Voodoo. Nobody knows where Voodoo came from, how they started to practice it. Only thing that we do know about Voodoo is that it was originated through the slaves of Africa. And I don't mean like the people who were brought over as slaves. The people that were in Africa actually practiced Voodoo. They probably still do practice Voodoo. There's different forms of Voodoo. You have Santeria, which is a form of Voodoo. You have Haitian Voodoo. You have African Voodoo. They're all different. None of them are the same. They have some similarities, but none of them are the same. It's actually pretty amazing how widely spread the beliefs are of Voodoo. Now, as far as Wicca goes, if you don't know what Wicca is, it's a New Age paganism that was founded in the 1800s by a guy named Edmund. I can't remember what his last name is. Anyways, their beliefs are way different. They have the same beliefs again. They have deities. They practice rituals. They have sacred temples or like places of worship. Voodoo versus paganism or Wicca. Wiccas can pretty much put their sacred temples wherever, in a coven, outside, in their house, in their car, in their purse, at their workplace, wherever. Voodoo tends to use a specific sacred place. For example, if you go to New Orleans and visit the Queen of Voodoo's grave, you're going to see offerings in front of her. They believe now that she is a deity, that she left this earth and became a deity, a god in a sense, or a goddess actually. I also learned that even though Wicca practices the belief of different deities, they only worship these deities, be it male or female forms of one half of the whole. Yin and yang, the god, the goddess, summer, winter, like that kind of stuff. Versus Voodoo, Voodoo does believe that their deities are female and male versions of one whole, but they don't worship deities. They have one deity they worship, which again I named is Bodine. Again, I'm butchering that. Bondye. Bondi possibly is how you pronounce that. They worship what they call spirits. Now, their spirits would be like lesser deities. Like if you were to look into Greek mythology, you would see that there's Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. Hold on, I'm going from memory here. Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. Who's the other major one? Hey, hold on, Jackie. I'm doing an educational video. You need to back up. Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, and there's one more whose name I can't remember. All of their children: Apollo, Artemis, Aphrodite, Hephaestus. Those are all lesser deities in a sense. Hercules would be considered a lesser deity, being of half god, half man. Now, the Voodoo followers don't believe that. They believe that their lesser deities are spirits, in a sense. If you've ever seen this is sad to say, but the movie The Princess Frog, what's going on in that movie, that would be the same exact thing. That's voodoo. It's very fascinating, very fascinating. So I've checked out some books, and I'll show them to you, from the school library. And don't judge me on my book choice, okay? I'm doing a research paper, but I still like to know. First book I checked out is backwards. That says The Pagan Book of Living and Dying, and what that says is it's pretty much has a bunch of different things of what they believe, how you should live, different rituals you can practice when you're living, different rituals you can practice when you're dying, or that you can practice for the dying. This book right here is fascinating. I've started to read it for my paper, and I'm going to fully read this book instead of just picking and choosing. This is the actual biography/history of the voodoo queen Marie, say it again? Laveau. There you go. Chris knows. Marie Laveau. It's very fascinating. All of the legends that are believed to be formed around her are actually proven not to be true. So, like for example, she is believed to have acquired her home on St. Anne Street via voodoo rituals and practices. Not true. It was given to her from it was her mother's house, and it was given to her from the owner of her mother, who was a slave, and she was allowed to live there until new owners came to the house. So she lived and died in that house, by the way. Then I got this lovely book here because I was originally going to do Satanism, but there's very few information on Satanism as far as that I find to be non-fiction that isn't something along the lines of paganism, in a sense. Now, paganism and Satanism are two complete different things. Both people think that they're one and the same. Not at all. This book right here, The Heart, I think it's called At the Heart of Darkness, talks about Satanism. It's got a bunch of pictures. I mean, I like picture books. It's got a bunch of information on how they practice here. Okay, people, this is going to be a little bit graphic, so just be forewarned, okay? We have here, so you can see there's one of their rituals where they're blessing in the coming of spring. They're doing the dirty there. Or, I'm sorry, I apologize. That's not what this is. This is a ritual of a woman becoming a high priestess. This is how they become high priestesses. Yeah, that's right. They're screwed in. Kind of gangish, but it is what it is. It also talks about the different people, the head honchos. I see a picture here of a woman who is, can you see her? There she is. She's dressed in the garb of a pharaoh, which kind of doesn't make any sense to me because this is all about black magic, Satanism, and witchcraft, and everything in here is dark. There's no good. There's no like happy spells. That's not what this is. This is all about dark influences on secret societies, occultism, paganism, witchcraft, the Black Pope. Does anybody know what the Black Pope is? If you don't, research it. I'm not going to tell you. The different things that they do, the people, what they believe in, who started their religions, whatnot. Very fascinating. And this isn't for any other reason than just to know. I enjoy knowing. I'd rather know thine enemy than not know thine enemy, because then I can be surprised. The last book is one from my personal library, Wicca for Beginners. Now, I've read this book probably about 9,000 times. I know everything that there is to know that comes out of this book. It's actually a very interesting book written by a woman, Thea Sabin is her name. She and her husband are coven leaders, and they wrote this book for people who were interested in what Wicca is. Now, just to let you know, Wicca, as I said, is not the same as paganism. Paganism is the worship of many deities, also under the belief that, like, trees have souls, dogs have souls, flowers have souls, the air has a soul, rain has a soul. That's paganism. Most pagans would be considered to be people like the Celts, the Druids. If you've ever heard the story of King Arthur, you know who I'm talking about. Merlin, he was a pagan. They worshipped Morgana, who was a goddess, also a person and a goddess, apparently. And then Native American religions would be paganism, where they worship rocks. The spirit of the rock, excuse me, they don't worship rocks, I apologize. The spirit of the rock, that kind of stuff. Versus Wicca is New Age witchcraft, in a sense. It hasn't been around for long. Like I said, 1800s was when it was originally invented and brought into our beliefs. Now, the cool thing about Wicca, or the interesting thing about Wicca, is it's classified in two different forms. Americans practice Wicca. English people practice paganism. Makes no sense, but it is what it is. That's how they define themselves. Very fascinating. So I'll be doing some more research on this. I was a long-standing practicer of Wicca for a very long time. I've kind of moved out of a religious category. I don't fall into one religious category. I like to kind of combine them all and practice them all. I still worship God above all. But I do believe that there, as he said, you should worship no God before me. I do believe that there are other gods per se. I don't like the term God. That's a little in a box we put on a gigantic spirit, but very fascinating. I'll be doing some more research. Like I said, I'm probably going to start in the religion section of as I said earlier, I have a plan for learning. I'm going to go into my school library every week and check out probably 5 or 6 books on a specific subject and read them just because I want to know. It's better to know thine enemy than not to know thine enemy, as I said earlier. And I'm going to start with religion. So I'm going to move from paganism, Wicca, and Voodoo into Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. Also Sikhism, Taoism, Jainism, all the different forms of religion, which are fascinating to me. This I've learned in my intro to religion class. I find all this stuff to be fascinating. The occult, that kind of thing. There's a difference between the occult and occult people. Difference between an occult is a secret society-based religion. A cult is a spin-off of a religion. So, for example, Catholicism would be a main religion. You could say that, I'm trying to think of what would be a spin-off of Catholicism. In a sense, you could say Christianity is a spin-off of a Catholicism. Not really, but it is. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that it is. Anyways, thoughts? Any information that maybe I said wrong, if I said anything incorrectly, or information that you know that I was incorrect on? Fucking tell me. I like to be corrected. I don't take that shit to heart. I enjoy that people's minds are working and thinking, which is a major thing I think that we need in our society, to be able to look at a subject and say, oh, what do I get from this? What do I think of this? And then relate it to other people and say, what do you think? What is your beliefs? What is your take on this? Without doing that, how are we supposed to know who we are and what we believe in? We can't. So, peace.